Today's conversation is a little short one about what time you should turn up for an event. How early is too early? How late is too late? And when you're setting your times for your event, are you considering your audience and their behaviour patterns when it comes to their preparedness to arrive at your event? So I'm sitting in a car park right now waiting to go inside an event. And the reason I'm waiting is because it's 9:05 in the morning. The event start time is 9:30 in the morning. And that's too early for me. Like 9:05, the difference between 9:05 and 9:30 is that's too early. For me as an organiser, I know the people in the room are still doing final touches. They're still doing those extra little bits and pieces. And if they're not doing that, they're taking 10 minutes for a deep breath, a quick cup of coffee, rub their feet before they open doors to let you in. So they're either having that little moment where, because everything's organised and well done, and they're having just that little moment. They might be having a little briefing with each other, little team briefing, a little rah-rah, imagine, a band and crew right before they go on stage. They all have a little ritual that they do, right? So maybe the people inside this event right now are doing that little ritual. Alternatively, if it hasn't gone as expected, they could be running around trying to fix last minute issues that are coming at them. So for me, 30 minutes early arrival, that is too early. At the same time, arrival on time I am an early arriver. I don't really like arriving on time. Because I feel like I miss out. I miss out on being able to kind of scope the room, scope the event, see who's there, sort of, figure out what's going on before the room gets too full, before it gets too jam-packed. So I'm a 15-minute early arriver. And so I will go into this event at 9:15 a.m. because by then I expect that everything that can be done has been done and they are ready to receive guests. And ideally, I like to be one of the first guests. I like to see rooms at their best, at their cleanest. I like to meet people at their highest energy levels, all of that kind of thing, before they're flustered, before anything kind of happens. If I waited until 9:30, it's probably going to be crowded. There'll be a bottleneck at the registration desk. Issues will have arisen. People will have arrived that may not have registered. And the organisers will start to, potentially run around trying to fix challenges. And that's not the kind of energy that I want to spend my time in. But also, I don't want to be late. So people who arrive really late to events, again, 15 minutes late is okay. I think 15 minutes late, there's traffic issues. There was issues getting kids off to school. Maybe you couldn't find the right shoes, or like what I've done in the past and arrived at events either with different shoes on, or at one particular event, I arrived with no shoes on and no shoes in my car. That's a story for another time, but I am someone who loves to live barefoot, and I generally have a handful of pairs of shoes in my car ready for any scenario. On this occasion, I had cleaned my car out and I had no shoes. I had no shoes to go to a workshop and I had to go buy some. But that's a funny story. The buying the shoes is a funny story, which I'll share next time. So, if I was 15 minutes late, I'd be okay with that too. I'd feel comfortable walking into the venue 15 minutes late. It's still, everyone's still arriving. Again, it's not the right energy that I want, but it's probably less energy than all the people that arrived on time. And I'm now at the back of the room. I'm now sort of surveying everything from the back of the room. If I was half an hour late, I would be full of apologies. Arriving half an hour late to an event, proceedings have already started, typically. There's already the formal acknowledgements are happening. The leader of the organisation is typically speaking, so the highest of the hierarchy is on stage making their presentation. and you're disrupting the situation. If you're arriving half an hour late to the start of an event, you're typically disrupting the proceedings, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person in the room who is disrupting things. So they're my little tips, I guess, for how I feel about the times that I arrive at events. But the other thing I want you to think about is your audience. So who's coming to your event, and are they typical early arrivers? Are they typical on-time arrivers, or are they typical late arrivers? And sometimes it's a little bit hard to figure this out, but let me share with you, if you are doing an event for a mature audience, and I mean a fairly senior audience, mature audience, a consumer event maybe, perhaps you're doing like a superannuation seminar, or maybe you're doing an open day for a local aged care facility or something like that, that demographic of person will show up half an hour early. So make sure you're ready 45 minutes early. Make sure you've done the rituals that you need to do, and you're ready 45 minutes to an hour earlier than you anticipate doors to be opening. Because like I say, this group, they will show up early, and they will show up exponentially early. In my experience, they always turn up at least half an hour early. Sometimes they'll turn up an hour early. So if you can't have your room ready that early, obviously, that's not always possible. And plus, there's a start time for a reason, and you don't want people there for any longer than they need to be there. But for this particular demographic, for example, have somewhere where they can go. So one particular event that I do, there is a section of this audience that turns up really, really early, or they get the time wrong. So the event is normally, 11:45 for a 12 p.m. start, and people read that and their brain says, okay, this starts at 11:45. I'm going to get there at 11:15 or 11:30 just to make sure I'm not late. Now that's 45 minutes to 30 minutes earlier than I want them there. So what I do in this particular occasion is every venue that I do this event in, I make sure there's a space like a public coffee shop or some sort of area where I can guide them to and encourage them to go and meet other people who are coming to this event and get a coffee, or if it's an evening event or a lunchtime event, maybe get a wine or something like that. But I always try and have an area ready to send those early arrivals to. So number one, I can continue my setup and getting ready for my event, and I get to do my rituals. But number two, they're not standing on a street corner waiting to get in. They're not hanging around weirdly at the registration desk waiting for me to finish setting up. And they're not standing there talking to me while I'm trying to do all the things that I'm trying to do. So think about your audience. Is your audience someone who maybe arrives late? Perhaps you need to make sure that your program, for example, has built in extra time. So even though it's, like my event, 11:45 for a 12 p.m. start, maybe that's what you advertise, but you don't actually start until 12:15 or 12:30. And I know for me that it annoys me that as an early arriver or an on-time arriver, I don't get rewarded. I have to wait for the late arrivals. But at the same time, I think a late arriver is going to disrupt the event. They're going to disrupt the mood, the vibe, the energy that's happening in the room. So let's make room for them. People are late for all sorts of reasons, and rarely are they intentionally late. So let's make room for that. So think about your audience, whether they are early arrivers, on-time arrivers, or late arrivers, and accommodate either the space or the program to make sure that fits in. But that's it from me this morning. It is now 9:15. I am going to hop out of my car and go into this event, and I can't wait to see what the day beholds for me. I'm here for a few hours. It's my local community. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what is ahead for me. All right, have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.